Hello folks and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of the most common complaints that there is with the BMW R1250GS, and that is the standard screen, specifically the problem of wind buffeting from the screen that some riders, not all, but some riders do experience. I'll show you the solution that I've chosen, and that is the MRA Vario-Touring Screen, and we're going to see if it makes any difference. But before we do any of that, let's roll the intro. Welcome back. Now, for those not familiar, buffeting is when the wind doesn't flow smoothly over your head. Instead, it hits you with turbulent air, which creates a loud, annoying, almost vibrating effect on your helmet. It's fatiguing, it's noisy, and on long rides, it becomes a real comfort issue. The stock screen, as we all know, is adjustable in height, but no matter how I set it, the buffeting never really goes away. Sometimes it even gets worse. For a bike like this, which is designed for long distance touring, that's a problem. Of course, if you crouch down behind the screen, then there is no problem, but that's not very comfortable. So why does this happen? On my Triumph Speed Twin, there is no screen, so I just get a constant pressure of air hitting me, and generally that air is clean, smooth air, i.e. it's not turbulent, so there is no buffeting. But on long rides, it can be quite tiring having to hold on and lean forward against that air. You can put a screen on the bike and then you have fast moving, high pressure air hitting the front of the screen, and then behind the screen the air is not moving, so that air is at a lower pressure. So that high pressure air then wants to rush in and fill the low pressure, and that generates turbulent, swirling air, which you, the rider, feel. And if you're very unlucky, it's battering you about the helmet area, causing lots of noise. So there's nothing quite like being battered around the helmet area, is there? For me, I actually have the small BMW Rally screen, which is my go-to screen, as I found it to be better than the standard GS screen. Less turbulent air because the screen is smaller, but it can be a little bit tiring on those long trips as there's less protection from the oncoming air, and you feel it more, albeit it's cleaner air, it's less turbulent air than the standard screen, which, as you can see, is a little bit larger. I've ridden down to the Picos and back in Spain recently with this screen, and generally speaking it was fine actually, but my riding buddy on his new R1300GS had no issues. So when I got back, I thought, you know what, maybe it's time to make a bit of an effort and find a screen which is going to be less fatiguing on those longer trips, and find a suitable solution to make the longer trips more comfortable. I guess if we wanted the ultimate wind protection, then we would put a massive screen on the front, but that's going to look silly and it's not going to be very practical. There is not going to be one screen from one manufacturer that is going to do everything that we all want, purely because as riders we come in different shapes and sizes and we wear different helmets. So I've done my internet research, looked at some of the BMW forums, and I kind of honed in on this screen. It's from German manufacturer MRA, Motorcycle Accessories, and it's their Vario-Touring Screen, and there seems to be some really good results with this screen. So what we'll do is let's whip it off the bike onto the bench, have a look at it, I'll tell you how much it costs, and then show you how very quickly and easily we can put it back onto the bike, and then we'll take it out for a ride and see how we get on with it. I purchased my screen from UK supplier HPS, and the price was approximately £130, and I chose the smoked grey colour. Removing your screen is a 2-minute job. I raised the screen to its highest position, and then I strategically placed a cloth to catch any dropped screws. And then with a Torx T25 screwdriver, I removed the screen retaining screw on each side. The screen should stay in place. Move it slightly down to release it from the bike's mounting bracket. Then we simply remove all the original screen fixings with the Torx T25 screwdriver. This only takes a few minutes. Two of the brackets are marked L and R, left and right, so keep the fittings on the side you remove them from. Then we remove the 4 rubber grommets, they'll come out easily, and that is everything done. Here's a comparison of the BMW screen and the new MRA screen. The new screen is wider and about the same height as the BMW screen, with the spoiler in its lowest position. The shape and movable spoiler should reduce the turbulence and direct it away from the rider's head. Hopefully. The new screen is slightly thicker than the BMW one. As always, read the instructions first. Install the 4 rubber grommets from the original screen. Fit the screen outer holder, and then take the supplied clear plastic spacer strip and place it against the inside of the screen, making sure it goes on the correct way as per the instructions. Next, ensure you have the correct mounting bracket, they are marked L and R, and then attach it to the screen, securing it with the screws. Once you're happy with how it's seated, tighten the screws with your Torx T25 screwdriver, but remember, don't over tighten it. And now do the same for the other side with that clear plastic spacer strip. Job done. The MRA screen has a different profile, which apparently is more aerodynamic. The screen appears to be extremely well made and comes with German TÜV certification. The spoiler has 6 positions and should only be moved for safety reasons when stationary, as it is a little bit on the stiff side. This is at the spoiler's highest position, and now at the lowest position. It's simply the reverse of the removal, and again will only take a few minutes. You may want to keep your hand on it whilst you put the first screw in, just in case it decides to slip off. Then do the screws up to just tight enough, or 4 Newton meters as per the instructions. Job done. Hello folks, well here we are then out and about testing the Vario-Touring Screen. So it's on the mighty BMW R1250GS. Weather-wise, a little bit breezy. The weather conditions are, it's dry and it's actually blowing a force 4 at the moment, miles per hour. I'll whack that up here. So a couple of things to say then. So the screen is in the low position, and then we can wind it all the way up to the high position, absolutely no problems whatsoever. So let's just put it back down to the low position. I've got my camera on here, but that's not infringing on that. And the spoiler at the top there, it's got 6 positions and just a little bit of brute strength, and so it's quite solid. That's not going to go anywhere in the wind, but you've got to be quite aggressive with it actually. I wouldn't say it's smooth, but you've got to give it a good old pull to get it to move, and in the instruction manuals they say clearly do not operate this whilst you're riding along, because it is quite stiff to operate actually. But there are 6 positions. What I have noticed is on full lock, then it just touches the handguards and it's not going to cause you any problems on full lock, and indeed the screen does actually move out of the way. Talking of the screen, you can get a screen brace. Quite a few people don't actually bother. I read one guy on the internet and he's had his screen on for 2 years on his GS 1250, and he's had no issues with not having the extra bracing on. I'm not going to put any extra bracing on, so I think what we'll do is jump on the bike, take it for a ride, and then we'll just try the screens at different heights. That's the screen height and the spoiler height. So at the moment we're just going to try it in the lowest position and the spoiler at the lowest position. So let's go for a test ride. So there we go, full lock, and it's just the handguard's just touching the screen, but it's not causing any issues whatsoever. But just something to be aware about. Just to let you know, I'm 5'9", I'm a normal kind of size guy. I've got my MRA Tour X4 helmet on with the tall peak at the top. I've already ridden up and down one of my major roads here where I live at varying speeds, and I have to say, over the standard screen, it is a significant improvement. So I'm just going to ride along at 40 miles an hour to start with. I'm going to leave the visor open, as I've done that previously. The wind noise might pick up a little bit, as you can hear already, and we'll just see what it's like. So there we go, 40 miles an hour, the screen's in the low position. Quite a bit of wind noise, which is what you'd expect anyway, but there is no turbulence. If I put my hand up here, then the turbulence starts about here, so I would say that it's actually going over the peak of this adventure style Tour X4 helmet, so no buffeting whatsoever. And I've already ridden at higher speed, should I say, and I would suspect that you'll have no issues at higher speeds at the UK speed limits of 70 and 60 miles an hour. I think it'll be a comfortable place for you to go, and I'm just going to pop the visor down because even I think that's noisy. I normally ride with my earplugs in when I go touring, but I haven't got them in today. But yeah, I've been up and down this road numerous times with varying degrees of screen height and spoiler height, and absolutely fine. I would say this is a significant improvement on the standard BMW screen. It does move around a little bit, but a little bit of noise, but there is absolutely, I'm not being battered, my helmet's not getting battered at various speeds, so I'm super happy that the Vario screen from MRA makes a significant change. For me, it might not work for you depending how tall you are. Obviously if you're taller, you're going to be sat up in the air, but for me, the Vario screen with the spoiler on the top, the 6th position spoiler, absolutely fine. And I think on a longer journey, sat at 70-80 miles an hour, absolutely fine, and you'll be very comfortable. So for me, I think the screen is absolutely fine, but what I'm going to do is just wind the screen up, and I don't know if you're going to hear any reduction in the noise. So this is the smoked grey screen, and I've got no problem seeing through it. So fully up position, reduction in the wind noise, and it's very, very comfortable. And as I said earlier, just back there, faster speeds, 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. I'm not going to do it on here because we've got a 40 mile an hour limit and I would get into trouble, but I would suspect that you'll have no problems at all, and it will be a significant upgrade. And I can tell already that it's a lot quieter, and I've left the spoiler on the top here in the low position. So for me, I don't think that I would have to raise that spoiler, although I have, and I'll do that very shortly just to show you how high up it does come. So let's just pull over and then I'll just raise the screen and then we go up and down the road again. So let's do the next shot with the spoiler in the fully up position and the screen in the fully up position, and then I'll lower the screen to the lowest position. So let's do that now. Yeah, no buffeting at all. Absolutely no buffeting at all. Very, very good. Very happy with that. Helmet's not being bashed around. Absolutely nothing at all. Good job, MRA. But it is German. Yeah, it's German, yeah. But it's a good screen for my 5'9" of tallness. What a prat. So let's just put the hill hold on. And it is a bit of a two-handed job to raise the screen. I don't think you do that one-handed. So the screen at the moment is on the highest setting, and then we've just increased the height of the spoiler on the top to give us the highest spoiler setting. So we are at maximum penetration for the screen actually. So let's give that a go. In relation to seeing through the screen, I'm 5'9", as I've said several times. And yeah, to me it wouldn't be a problem. If it means I can go faster and have less turbulence, then it's definitely the way to go. This is the smoked grey screen, so you can go for the clear one as well. So those of you that don't like these kind of screens because you like to see through it, then you may be better with the clear screen. But it's absolutely, it does what it says on the tin. Slightly wider, so in relation to the air round at the sides, you know, the air, I can just feel the air about here actually, but over the helmet Yeah, there's nothing coming over the helmet. I'm up about here actually, so it's not even touching the peak, so it's going right over my head, so it is a bubble of calmness. So I would say from MRA that the Vario-Touring Screen is a winner. It does what it says, it makes the ride more comfortable, and an absolute bubble of calmness. My helmet's not being battered, it's not noisy, and I haven't got my earplugs in. So in the UK, for dual carriageway speeds or whatever the national speed limit is, you're not going to have a problem. Anyway, that's about it. Let's go back to the man cave, and I hope that's been of benefit for somebody. So to wrap this up then, the BMW R1250GS is a great bike, but the standard windscreen just doesn't cut it on those longer rides. It's early days with the MRA Vario-Touring Screen, and it looks like, for me, at 5'9" tall, it solves a problem with its adjustable spoiler, better airflow, and reduced buffeting. If you're struggling with wind noise and turbulence on your GS, then I definitely recommend giving it a try. Click on the links down below for more information. Now, if you've got one or had one of these screens, then please make a comment. Thanks for watching, and until next time, ride safe. Come on, dude, let's go. Come on, Milo, come. Good lad.